Hello and welcome to not a real episode of the ABC podcast. My name is Alex, and unfortunately I am not joined by Brandon, but I do have my beautiful wife, Robyn, here with me.
Hello.
Like I said, this isn't a real episode. This is just going to be a little update. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to title this episode in iTunes and YouTube, but I'm sure update will be in there somewhere. So sorry if I got your hopes up expecting like lots and lots of content, but unfortunately now's not the time. This is just a little way of me letting you know what's going on in my life and future plans for the podcast. So it's been about 3-ish months since we moved here, something like that. And obviously I haven't recorded an episode since the last time, and I said we were gonna be taking a break from the show for about a month or two. So obviously it's been longer than that. Basically, everything you've ever heard about how difficult law school is 100% true. Before I started school, I kind of thought that, it's not going to be that bad. I'm going to be able to, do well without trying too hard, because that's how it was for me in undergrad. But it's really tough. And they say that the first year is the hardest. And I hope that's true, because I don't know if I could do this intensity for another 2.5 years. But anyway, my point is that I haven't had any free time, basically, at least not in the quantities that it would take for me to harass Brandon to get together to record and sit down to record and then edit it and everything. So it's been really tough. I've really missed podcasting, and I've really missed just having lots of free time in general. But, it is what it is, as they say. Kind of dealing with it. Yeah, no more, at least for the rest of this semester and next semester, it's just not feasible for me to record. However, I am going to be home for Christmas break. We're going to be there for like 3 weeks, so definitely going to get lots of recording in then. Hopefully I'll be able to meet up with Brandon, but if not, I know my sister Catherine will be there, and I know she's willing to, maybe not willing, but I know she'll at least humor me and record with me. So we're definitely going to do some of that. I have an idea for some special guests that I want to get on the show. Hopefully that'll pan out. That'll be really fun. And so there'll be some more content in about a month. But then after that, it's going to be a long while until summer. I'll see what I can manage to put together when that comes around, but that's far down the road. So that's the main meat of what I had to say here. So other than that, I kind of just wanted to update people on what life has been like here in New York, in case anybody cares, which I'm sure they don't. But I'm sure Brandon will listen to this, and probably Kenzie, and I haven't talked to them since I moved, basically. So they might want to know. So anyone who doesn't know, Robyn and I moved to Syracuse, New York. I am in law school. And Robyn is pursuing her master's degree in social work, possibly going to law school afterwards, but, maybe that's probably too much information. It's been different than Texas. I think the thing that we probably miss the most is all of the food that we've grown accustomed to back home.
Whataburger and Chick-fil-A and Cane's. House of Pies. What else am I missing?
We did go to one Mexican place, and it was like a little hole in the wall place. I thought it was kind of promising, but it wasn't very good. So that was pretty lame. But other than that,
they don't know what real hash browns are here.
Oh yeah, that's pretty weird. I mean, other than that, I found it to be, it's very different, and I think that's good for us at this stage in our life to try and experience new things. Robyn doesn't feel the same way. She's very homesick. But I've been trying to, embrace it, kind of make the best of what we put ourselves into. And I think it's going all right. This last night was our second snowfall of the year, but it was way, way heavier than the first one. Robyn had to leave to go to work this morning, and she went outside and spent, 20 minutes trying to scrape the snow off the car and didn't even finish. Yeah. So that was interesting. So we haven't had to deal with too much snow yet, but it's there.
And we live by a lake, so it gets a lot worse than it would in other places.
Yeah. Me personally, the best part about living here is that I've been playing Pokemon Go exponentially more than I ever did back home, for a number of reasons. One of which is being on a college campus. There's like tons of Pokestops. I found one really nice route that has 14 well, I think it's like 13 stops in a gym, and it's like a nice 5-minute loop, so that every time I walk around I get all those items again. So that's really nice. And then over near where we live, which is pretty close to the campus, there's a good cluster of gyms. It's probably like 10 or so within really close driving distance. So I've been holding those down, leveling them up, and getting coins and everything. So that's been really nice for me.
I played like 5 minutes of Pokemon since we've been here because I have a life. That's all I had to say.
Yeah, there's been some good variety of Pokemon that I don't normally see back home. Just for example, I've noticed there's a lot more fairy types here, a lot more ice types. I've caught so many Swinub in Pokemon Go since we moved here, and a lot more fighting types too for some reason. Like I finally got enough candy to evolve my Machop all the way up to a Machamp, and I have a Primeape and those kinds of things. Not as many grass type Pokemon, not as many of the starter Pokemon. I feel like I definitely saw a lot more of those back in Houston, but that's besides the point. I don't think I have anything else to say about Pokemon Go.
It takes over our lives.
It takes over my life.
I'm his chauffeur, so it takes over my life.
Anyway, so that's been really nice. I don't know what I'm going to do when I go back home because I still need to get them coins so I can get them upgrades. But that's a problem for another day. Other than that, I don't think there's too much to say about living here. Like I said, law school is really hard. Before I came here, I knew a handful of lawyers. My dad has a few lawyer friends, and they all said, like, they either said, think twice before you decide to do this, or straight up said, like, don't go. And I kind of wish I had listened to them a little bit, but, I'm already in this boat, so I'm going to ride it out for as long as I can. But yeah, if you're thinking about going to law school, make sure you know what you're getting into. Anyway, so that's all the personal updates and whatnot. So, like I said, I don't have too much free time, but in the little bit of free time that I do have, we've been watching a pretty decent amount of movies, trying to catch up on some TV shows, and I've been trying to keep a good running list of those to do hot takes. So we're gonna do some of those. I don't think I'll probably do the whole list and probably skate over a lot of them, but okay, the first one that I will start with is one that Robyn will talk about, so I'll just make it really quick, is the reveal of Fighter Pack 3 for Injustice 2. This trailer came out, I think it was last weekend. So basically, first they showed off the Enchantress is coming to the game. Well, actually, no, there was like some weird, Raiden got beat up, and then Adam flew out of a fire, but we already knew Adam was coming to the game, that was fine. And then the Enchantress showed up. And I was kind of like, this is alright. I have a negative impression of the Enchantress because of the Suicide Squad movie, which was just, a dumpster fire. But, I'm sure they'll make her a cool character. She can probably do some stuff like Zatanna in the first Injustice game. Or my guess is she would probably be more akin to like a Quan Chi character from Mortal Kombat. But I'm sure she'll be fine. But anyway... Enchantress and Adam are like squaring off or whatever, and then you see a sai get thrown into the ground. If you don't know, a sai is a weapon. It's kind of looks like a little mini pitchfork. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Anyway,
is it like what the gods have, or is that's a trident? Never mind. I have no idea.
Those are basically the same thing. No, a sai is like a long knife, and then on the sides it has two little curved blades.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, anyway, so a sai gets thrown into the ground, and so my first thought is, okay, Melina is coming to the game, which would make a lot of sense. If you don't know, NetherRealm Studios are the makers of both the Mortal Kombat series and the Injustice series. In the first Injustice game, we had Scorpion. In the second game, the first DLC pack, they had Sub-Zero. The second pack, they had Raiden. So my first thought was Melina. I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. And then the freaking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles come out of the shadows. Not just Raphael, all four TMNT that was a weird way to say it. All 4 of the turtles come out, and I lost my mind. It was like the most unexpected thing. It was literally like a week later that I finally realized that it was because there was that recent crossover comic of Batman and TMNT, so they're already introduced into the DC universe. So it like actually makes sense for them to be there. But it's so cool. We don't really have any details on how it's going to play out. Like they didn't like the yeah, we don't have any details. Personally, I think that all 4 of them will be separate playable characters, but I did see one news article with a guy or a journalist who's really into fighting games theorized that you would be playing mainly as Leonardo and the other 3 turtles would come in as like assist type moves. That doesn't seem likely to me because that isn't a thing in Injustice. If there's some kind of swap mechanic, kind of like there's a robot from Killer Instinct that does that, has like 3 separate modes that have different health bars, but they're each individual health bar isn't as much as a regular character's health bar. That could kind of make sense, but I think it would make more sense for all 4 characters to just be separate playable ones. But anyway, that's really exciting. I really wish I could play this game. If anybody is looking to give me a Christmas present, a PS4 Pro would be excellent.
No.
Anybody else?
No.
But anyway, that's all I have to say about that. So now we can move on to some stuff that we can both actually talk about. Do you want to start with movies or TV?
TV.
Okay. So the first one is we watched the American Horror Story Roanoke. The current season, the previous season before that, season 6? No. Season 5? No, 6. Yeah, it's season 6. So Robyn clearly didn't like it.
Nope.
I have really mixed feelings about it. I thought some of the things that it did were very interesting, and some of them I just couldn't get into. You know, without going into too much detail, they really departed from previous aspects of the show. They did this weird meta show. It was a show within a show. It was a documentary about these people who bought this house that turned out to be haunted. And so it was, half of it was the real people telling their story, and then half of it was actors reenacting those scenes. So that was the first half of the season, and then the second half was a reality show about the people and the actors going back to the house, and some messed up stuff happens. It was really weird, but I kind of liked it. Like I said, like some of it really worked for me and some of it really didn't. So I don't know where I would rank it in my overall rankings of the seasons of American Horror Story. It didn't take the top spot. Season 1, I think, will always probably be the best, just because it was so fresh and shocking, and everything they've done since then has felt...
I like Coven.
Yeah, Coven was really good. Anyway, I don't know what it felt like, but it just doesn't feel as intense as Murder House. Then we finished watching Malcolm in the Middle. Finally, it took us forever to get through that.
Forgot about it.
It was okay. I don't think it reinvented the sitcom genre or anything. I definitely think there were funnier shows before, and there have been funnier shows since then. But I think it's a pretty good show.
It's all right.
We'll leave it at that. Well, actually, one last thing. I thought the ending of the show was very unsatisfying.
I genuinely don't remember.
Okay, well, I guess you'll have to watch it again.
Oh, God.
We watched The Defenders on Netflix way back. It's the one with Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Don't remember anything about that show.
Yeah. Well, for one thing, we burned through it in one weekend because it was only 8 episodes. And the other thing is that it wasn't all that great. I was pretty checked out of it, which is a shame. I was really looking forward to it, and then it just didn't really do anything all that cool. You know, I won't spoil anything, but I will say that basically the whole conflict of the show is all about Kunlun, which I was really sick of hearing about from the Iron Fist solo show, and I don't find it interesting at all. So that was pretty disappointing. But Punisher's out now. I just wrapped up watching another show, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But yeah, so Punisher's next on my list. I've been hearing good things about it, so hopefully that'll be neat. We watched Stranger Things Season 2, again, all in one weekend, because we have no lives. Oh, that was another thing I forgot to say about living in New York, is I don't have any friends. That's been...
By his own fault.
Yeah. It doesn't really bother me that much, but it is a fact. Anyway, Stranger Things Season 2, really, really good. I would say about on par with Season 1. I don't know if I could choose between the two. Maybe if I watched them both like back to back. I mean, it had been a few months since I'd watched Stranger Things. If I watched them back to back, I would be able to critique them better. But yeah, it was really good. I'm curious to see where Season 3 goes. They definitely, Season 1 they set themselves up for Season 2, but if it hadn't been a second season, I don't think it would have been all that surprising. But they definitely set themselves up for Season 3. So I'm curious to see where that goes.
I don't remember how it ends.
Okay, then.
I have a really bad memory.
Yeah, I know. You told me that all the time.
I'm telling the viewers, or the people.
Okay. And then the last show that we watched was called American Vandal, which, again, we watched all in one weekend. American Vandal... You haven't been talking at all. I need you to talk.
We watched something else before that. We did.
What?
Mist.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't write that down. Okay, well, we'll get back to the Mist in a second. Let's talk about American Vandal first.
I still have dreams about it. Had a dream about it last night. I don't know why, because it's ridiculously dumb. But at the same time, I really liked it. Basically, the premise of the show is it's a mockumentary, right?
Yeah, I guess you'd call it
satire.
Yeah.
Of making a murder. And of course it ends the same way where you don't know anything. Which is ridiculous. But it was pretty good. There was a lot of male genitalia brought up every 5 seconds.
Hey, they talked about vaginas a lot too.
That is true. There's a lot of genitalia brought up a lot, basically constantly. It was good though. It definitely had its twists. I would say that. Didn't expect things. Your turn.
Yeah, I concur with all of that. It's only it was 8 episodes, 30 minutes long, so yeah, it's easy to burn through it, and you could easily do that in one day. We kind of split it up because I was working on a paper, but yeah, it's short and sweet, not like hilariously funny, but it definitely had some funny moments, I thought, so I'd say check it out. Mm-hmm. And then the other show that we finished watching was The Mist.
Oh, poop on that.
Yeah, it's...
Except I wish there was a second season. Which there's not.
Well, like I said, you can just watch the movie. So, The Mist, for those who don't know, was originally a story by Stephen King. Now, I've usually heard it called a novella. I think on the DVD box cover it says novella, but like the description on Netflix called the show called it a novel. So I'm actually kind of confused what it's about. But anyway, it was originally a story by Stephen King and was then adapted into a feature-length movie in 2005, maybe a little bit after that. Yeah, that's probably when I was in high school. Starring Patrick Jane and like 3 characters from The Walking Dead for some reason, and the police captain from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and some other people. But anyway, the one of the bad guys from Captain America. Anywho, one of my favorite movies of all time. I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that on the show, but I'll reiterate it again. It is an amazing movie. I like to say that it's a monster movie that doesn't focus on the monsters. It's about how people react in scary, life-threatening situations and how quickly society just kind of crumbles. And I think it's a really fascinating look at the human psyche with the nice backdrop of freaky monsters. The ending is very, very divisive. I love it. Do you like it? I actually don't know.
The ending?
Yeah.
No.
Some people don't like it. My friend Vivian, she despises the ending and still despises me for having made her watch the movie. So, it's love it or hate it kind of thing. I don't think you can walk out of the movie and just be like, that was an okay
I mean, I
ending.
like the movie. I just don't like how it ends.
Right.
I'm
No,
like,
no, I'm just talking about the ending.
Oh, okay.
The show, on the other hand, was very, very different. So like I said, I haven't read the story by Stephen King. I probably should. So I don't know which of the two adaptations is more faithful to the book. I want to hope it's the movie because I like the movie a lot better than the show. But they take some very different directions with the show. They kind of do focus on the human psyche aspect of it, but not in very interesting ways, I don't think. It's more about the stuff that they set up for the characters before the mist happens, that they kind of focus on throughout the season, and I just didn't really care for it. I was like playing on my phone or playing the Switch the whole time we were watching it, basically, so I wasn't even paying attention to like a lot of what was going on. So it was a little disappointing.
True.
So I know I said that I was going to talk about the show that I just finished watching, but I decided that everything else I'd have to talk about is anime, and I know Robyn doesn't want to talk about that.
Nope.
Doesn't want to hear me talk about that.
Nope.
So I'm going to not do that because she can't be polite to me. So we'll cover some movies that we watched. Okay, let's do some of these really quickly. Allied, the movie with Brad Pitt and Marion Cotillard about post-World War II Britain.
Did I like that?
I liked it.
I don't remember. That was a really long time ago.
Okay, then immediately after that, because I was in the mood, we watched Inglourious Basterds. That movie is great. Not one of my favorite Tarantino movies. Probably, well, I mean, I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen most of them, so I would, honestly, I'd probably put it in my bottom half of the ones that I've seen. Pulp Fiction is obviously incredible. Django Unchained is really, really great. I can't think of any other Tarantino. The Hateful Eight, definitely in the bottom half for me. Although I have only seen it the once, I might need to give it other viewings, but Reservoir Dogs is really good. I like that one. And Death Proof I didn't really care for. But anyway, Inglourious Basterds, great movie. It's on Netflix, so you should watch it if you haven't seen it. Or if you have seen it, you should watch it again. Boss Baby. Pass.
That was good.
No, Boss Baby not very good.
That was great.
No.
It was hilarious. It was super cute.
The Power Rangers movie, I'll talk about more the next time I have Brandon on the show. But really quick synopsis. Not very good. It Comes at Night.
Oh, that was not good.
No, it was really not. We watched the trailer on the podcast. This was an indie movie starring Joel Edgerton and a bunch of other random people that I didn't know. It was just bizarre. And I didn't understand it, and I didn't like it. And I know that makes me sound ignorant, but that's how I feel, and I don't care. Sully, the movie with Tom Hanks about the plane.
Did I like that? I don't remember.
No, we didn't like it.
Okay.
It was pretty boring.
Fist
Fist Fight, starring Charlie Day and Mr. Cube.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, really funny. Life. This was the movie about the people in space.
That movie.
Yeah, again, I have really mixed feelings about it. There were some things I really, really liked about it, and some things I was like, I wish they had gone into this more. Overall, I would say it was really good. I would like to watch it again. I won't say how it ends, but I could see them kind of spinning off a new film series from there. Again, it would definitely work, standalone. But it would be interesting to see how they would go from there.
Classic movies where you see how stupid people are.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
You're just like, why?
After I got done watching the movie, I kind of read up about it a little bit online, and I saw someone say that they thought that this was Sony's setup for the Venom movie, and I won't say any more than that, but I thought that was just funny and interesting. We watched The Accountant starring Ben Affleck.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it was really good. So Ben Affleck has, well, I guess they don't ever really
Some
explicitly
form of, like,
state it. Yeah,
autism.
he's on the autism spectrum, and so he's like a genius with numbers. Like he works as an accountant, and then he also works as a, well, he's not really a hitman, but he works for criminal organizations to help them do their accounting. So it starts off, well, there's a lot of like these action elements, and I thought the most interesting part of the movie was the forensic accounting aspect of it. So I would have liked to seen a whole movie about him trying to, solve numbers and that kind of thing. But unfortunately, now that they like did half of that story, any movie that did that afterwards would kind of be copying off of it a little bit. I mean, I know I haven't seen the entirety of it, but I know Rain Man did that a little bit. But yeah, The Accountant was still really good. Then we watched The Belko Experiment. Again.
Oh my gosh, that movie.
Again, like there were some things about it that I thought were really good and worked really well, and some things that were just very expected, kind of like, okay, I've seen this before in a movie. Overall, I would say it was pretty good. I mean, we got on Redbox, we spent like $2 on it, and I had an enjoyable time with it. So I would say check it out.
Though.
Yeah, I could see a sequel happening. I don't know how well it did financially though. It's the problem. Let's see. I rewatched No Country for Old Men. That movie, man, there's so much. Again, like there's so much that's so good about it, and then the ending just dives off a cliff. So, as far as my favorite, what are their names? Coen Brothers movies. Well, I couldn't really name that many off the top of my head, but this one is probably it's kind of in the middle. Let's see. We watched Kong, which was alright, but not terribly great. I'm glad I didn't pay money to see it in theaters.
Don't remember.
I watched Get Out. Robyn rewatched it with me. Really, really great movie. I don't think I could say anything about it that hasn't been said already. I know my sister Catherine is suddenly randomly in love with that movie. Like she's been tweeting about it a lot. But yeah, Get Out is it's really good. We watched Table 19.
Oh yeah, the wedding one.
Yeah, I didn't like it. I thought the ending was not justified. I didn't think it really earned the way that it resolved itself, personally. But, yeah, I don't know. It was like a rom-com, but I didn't think it was very funny.
I vaguely remember that movie.
Okay. We watched the original Omen. I don't know why people hold that movie in such high regard. I didn't think it was that scary. Having said that, I did watch it in the middle of the day with all the lights on, so that probably helped somewhat. But it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't that great.
I really have no memory of watching that.
Okay. We watched Alien Covenant. That was one of, if not the first movies we watched when we moved here, so that was a long time ago. I don't remember all the details too well, but I do remember that I didn't really like it all that much, and I really, really wanted to, so that was disappointing. Then we finally watched Logan.
I liked that.
Yeah, I liked it. I would give it a thumbs up, but
it's depressing.
Yeah, it was kind of depressing. I don't know. It didn't live up to the hype that I think I was expecting. Like, everyone was saying it was this incredible, amazing, awesome movie, and I didn't think it was that good. It was really good, but not as good as everyone was saying. We watched the original Flatliners, which was okay. I liked the premise. I didn't think the execution was all that great.
Oh yeah, it was not great.
Still want to see the new one, which I heard got terrible reviews, but yeah, I still want to see it. Then I watched the Death Note movie on Netflix. You know what? I know it was live action, but it counts as anime. I'll circle back to it when I talk about all the anime I've been watching on the next episode, or in a future episode at least. Alright, quick backstory here. So there is... no, let me back up more. There's a novel called The Hunchback of Notre Dame, which was written by an author named Victor Hugo. He also wrote Les Miserables in the 19th century, I think. They're pretty old books. And so that was a novel. It's been adapted into numerous different forms of entertainment since then. Probably the most famous of which is the Disney movie that came out in the early 90s, I think. And then later on, they made a musical about it that takes the songs from the Disney movie, but is also more faithful to the original novel. And I really, really like the musical.
He's obsessed.
I'm not obsessed, but I really like it. But I'd never seen the original movie, so I decided to watch it finally. The website that I used to watch it, they had another animated version that came out before the Disney one, and I decided to watch that first. It was super weird. It was only like an hour long, I think, so it's not like I wasted too much of my life watching it. It was pretty different from the Disney movie. I mean, a lot of the main story beats were there, but it deviated in places. And I haven't read the book, and I haven't actually I haven't seen the musical. I've only listened to the songs, so I don't really know kind of the story that stitches all of the songs together, if that makes any sense. So I don't know if the old animated version or the Disney animated version is more faithful to the book. My guess would be the old animated version, because the Disney one, while it is very dark and they do get into some pretty surprisingly adult themes for a kids animated movie, I know they do kind of Disneyfy it, if you will. They make it a little bit more palatable for kids. But anyway, so right after that, I watched the Disney version. It was really good. The songs were really good. The story was, like I said, surprisingly very dark. I mean, I kind of knew that going into it. Not only being familiar with the story, or at least the rough story in the musical, but I had also heard people talk about it. Vincent, a friend of the show who's been on a bunch of times, it's one of his favorite Disney movies, and he says he's seen it a million times, and he's told me we've talked about it before, that how dark of a movie it is for, a Disney movie. And yeah, it was true. I was very taken aback. And then after that, I made the mistake of watching the sequel to the Disney movie. It was just atrocious. I felt offended on Disney's behalf. That doesn't make any sense. I felt offended that Disney made this movie and tried to sell it to people because of how bad it was. Just nothing about it worked. And that's all I have to say about that. Let's see. Let me do one quick one, because I want to talk more about it with Brandon, but I want to get some really quick thoughts in because I just watched this, so it's fresh on my mind. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the Thor series, and then we'll be done with the hot takes. This has gone on a lot longer than I was anticipating, but that's just the story of this podcast in a nutshell. So I watched a movie the other night called Your Name. If you don't remember, we talked about this trailer a few months ago. I'm not exactly sure when, but it was an anime movie about these two people who were having dreams about living each other's lives. And I watched it. I don't even know why I watched it. I just remember the trailer looks good, and I saw it on the website that I used to watch cartoons, and I was like, you know what? I've got a free night tonight. Let me watch this movie, because I know Robyn will watch it with me. And I was blown away by how good this movie was. It hands down has my vote for best animated movie come Oscar time. I can't think of anything that would beat it. I mean, I haven't seen Coco yet, but I don't see how it could beat this movie. It was so good. And I'm definitely going to make Robyn watch it, and I know she's going to love it. So,
yay.
Yeah. Again, I want to talk more about it with Brandon, so I can make him watch it. But just wanted to get that out there and highly recommend it. Okay, last thing is, so we saw Thor Ragnarok, and leading up to that, we watched the original Thor and Thor the Dark World. So we'll start with the original Thor. It doesn't really hold up that well, to be honest. The acting is still really good. The costumes in that movie are just, every time I see it, just blow me away. I don't think it even got nominated for best costumes that year, which just is insane to me because I think they're so amazing. But the story, just, it's not bad. It's just kind of bland. I kind of feel this, honestly, I know this is very controversial. I kind of feel the same way about Iron Man, is that I think the story is, because it's an origin story, because they have to go like beat by beat of how this character is created. It just, I don't think it is very fun to watch. I feel that way about Iron Man. I feel that way about Captain America, the First Avenger. And those are the only three that have their own solo movies from the main Avengers. And yeah, it's okay. Kenneth Branagh is the director, so I think the directing is more high caliber than you'd see in most other Marvel movies. Not all, but he does do some kind of like interesting camera stuff that you wouldn't really see in an MCU movie these days. So I think that's kind of neat. Thor: The Dark World. I remember saying on one episode of the podcast somewhat recently is that Thor: The Dark World isn't a bad movie, but that it's a very forgettable movie. I would now like to recant that statement and say that it is a bad movie and a forgettable movie. I just was really not into it. There's a lot of stuff in the story that doesn't make any sense. And yeah, they like, I don't know what they were thinking with that movie. It was like they needed another Thor movie and they just decided to kind of rush this one out the door, and it really suffers as a result. But on the other hand, Thor Ragnarok definitely made up for it. It was super, super good. I would say probably in my top 5 MCU movies. Would you say that?
I mean, I don't know if I have a top 5, but it was definitely good. I don't rank them in my head because I don't care that much.
But you've seen all of them, so why not have at least an idea?
The worst memory ever. I don't remember any of them.
It's fine. We'll watch them all before Infinity War comes out.
I think you underestimate how forgetful I am.
Whatever. Thor Ragnarok was really good. Possibly the funniest Marvel movie. I think it had some competition from Spider-Man and maybe Guardians, but lots of laughs, I thought. Korg, probably my favorite Marvel character, or MCU character now. He was the rock guy.
Yeah, he was funny.
And yeah, it was a really fun movie. I tweeted about it afterwards. I would have loved to have done a whole podcast about it, but fortunately, I don't really have a good co-host here with me.
Oh, thanks.
And it just wouldn't have worked out. But it was great. If you haven't seen it yet, I don't know what's wrong with you. Please go see it. It really is worth it.
Maybe they're poor. I don't know.
But yeah, I'll probably talk more about it with Brandon the next time we sit down to record. If that ever happens. I don't know if it will. So I think those are all the movies we've watched since we moved here. Well, no, I did leave off at least 2 of them, and I might have forgotten some. But anyway, that was the thing. But anyway, this has been going on for a really long time, so we're going to do a really quick fanfic fight, and then we'll get out of here. This week, it's going to be a battle of the mothers. It's who is the better mom between Marge Simpson and Linda Belcher. And because Rob and I already talked about it before we started, and she has apparently never watched an episode of The Simpsons, which is just crazy to me, I will be defending Marge and she will be defending Linda. So, ladies first.
Linda Belcher. There's so much to say about Linda Belcher. She's my cartoon me. I see Alex and I as Bob and Linda Belcher. I feel like that's our TV couple. Anyway, her as a mom. She's great. She cares so much about her kids. She sings about everything. So, they're always going to be entertained. She is so very invested in her kids. Sometimes maybe a little too much. But that's okay. Because at least she cares. And she's super fun. Who doesn't want a fun mom? The end.
Okay, so Linda's an okay mom. But you know what? If you look at the product of her mothering, look how terrible her children are, how much they get into trouble and break the law and all that kind of stuff, she's maybe not that great of a mom. And I know that the child's behavior is not completely the fault of the parents, but I would say it does play a role.
Could be Bob's fault.
Why, Bob? All Bob cares about is cooking his burgers and running the restaurant. He doesn't really parent them.
Exactly. They need a father figure that they do not have.
Well, maybe it's because they don't respect him.
Yeah, and therefore they make bad choices. This had nothing to do with Linda.
No, you're wrong. Wait, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So I don't know. It's not completely the fault of parents. On the flip side, you have the Simpson children. So you have Maggie, who is an angel baby. She never does anything bad. Then you have Lisa, who is, straight A student and is very involved in politics. And she plays the saxophone and like a bunch of other instruments. And she does like student council, I think. And she's basically just like the model child. And then, yeah, sure, you have Bart, who does get in trouble. And he like does pranks and he's a little bit of a bully. But, 2 out of 3 is pretty good. It's a lot better than Linda, who's 0 for 3. So that's all I'm saying. Marge is much better mom. She also has like crazy hair. And she like cooks and cleans all the time. And she puts up with way more crap from Homer than Linda has to put up with from Bob. And she does it all with a smile on her face for the most part. So Marge is clearly the better mother. So anyway, we made our arguments, but we want to know what you have to say. So even though we won't get to it for like another month, if you feel like sending in an email, you can always do so to abcpodcast92@gmail.com, and we would love to hear from you. But that is it for this week. We won't be covering a movie the next episode, unfortunately. I already have one picked out, but it's actually Brandon's turn to pick next, so that's sad. But anyway, really quickly, you can follow me on Twitter at AtariAlex. You can find Brandon's username in my description. Or yeah.
You mean Twitter handle?
What did I say?
Username.
That's the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Potato. Anyway, if you go over my Twitter, up in my little bio, which I semi-recently changed, like I changed it after I moved to New York. I like it a lot better now. Anyway, if you look in there, his username is there. While you're there, you can also find links to our YouTube and iTunes pages. And because you never know when a new episode is going to drop, I would highly recommend that you subscribe to both of them so that when a new episode does come out, it'll be like Christmas Day. That's not me trying to hint that there will be a new episode on Christmas Day. Anyway, you can also find Robyn on Twitter at rockinrobyn94. And I think that's it. So, thank you all very much for listening, and we will catch you all next time.
Peace.